You're on the air with Florenza, your podcast destination for authentic conversations with a twist. So, grab your favorite drink, get comfy, and join me on this unique literary journey. Cheers!
Today on the Air with Florenza, we're joined by the insightful, witty, and endlessly curious author, Jeff Circle. His latest work explores the hidden currents beneath everyday lives and the extraordinary in the ordinary. Get ready for a rich conversation that will make you see even the most familiar moments in a new light. Please put your hands together and welcome Jeff to the show. Thank you so much, Jeff, for joining me on this episode of On the Air with Florenza, where in just a few minutes, we are going to talk about your book. Oh my God. Are we going to talk about your book? And we're going to talk about alcohol because you are in a speakeasy, which speaks my language. Hello.
Florenza, thanks for having me. This is fantastic. I know already, based on our pre-chat, we're going to have a good time.
We're going to have a fabulous time. And before we dive into any of that, we're going to toast to an amazing show. And since your assortment is so vast, I know that you are going to pop some kind of fabulous bottle. What do you have?
Well, as a crime anthology editor now, I have an old bourbon here called Old Homicide from the Ernest Scarano Distillery. It's a local distillery. We won in an online auction, so I will be happy to toast you to a wonderful show. Cheers.
Cheers. I want to know so much about that bottle, but we're gonna sip. Oh, that's actually good.
You have Chardonnay, right?
I think so. Yeah. I just snatched it and ran. Usually, though, I'm doing a bourbon of some sort.
Love it.
Lately, Uncle Nearest has been their green label has been my beverage of choice. So
I'm looking over at my supply, and the Uncle Nearest is empty, but we have a few down here in the speakeasy.
Yeah, see,
it's a good choice.
That. Thank
nice
you
choice.
Very much. Now, Jeff, tell us a little bit about yourself and about your newest anthology, Myopic Duplicity.
Well, as you alluded to, I do have a background in questioning people. I have a counterintelligence background where we try to get the truth out of people. It's called deception detection. I am also a former police officer, so I've questioned a lot of people, and I've done federal investigations. I've interviewed hundreds of people for questions that go on and on and on for hours. So yeah, I've done a lot of questioning. So that all stemmed from my military background, and I've never lived in any one place for more than 5 years, except for when I was a kid. So a little side note there. In all of that, it led me to writing. And you're right, Myopic Duplicity is the new crime thriller anthology that we have out right now. It's available in ebook, and it was specifically curated and written to be produced in an audiobook format. One of the only crime thriller anthologies I've ever heard of that was made for an audiobook, made by Leonardo Audio. I was approached by them to put this together, and I've got 16 great writers, most of whom I already know from the Dossier, a few new people who I wanted to get in there, and some amazing narrators. This is fantastic. So I'm having such a good time with that.
Going in as an editor for a series that is designed to be audio, what was that like in terms of your whole process and how you put together story?
Well, the first thing I did is I picked my 16 writers, and I've got to give them a shout out because this is not me. This is all them. Eric Beetner has written like 30 books. C.B. Bernard, C.W. Blackwell is a 5-time Derringer nominee, 2-time winner. Wes Brown is amazing, a super guy from Kentucky. Mindy Carlson has an amazing story in there. Ash Clifton is nominated. He was Anthony nominated this last year. Libby Cudmore is in there. Victor Dionda, Aaron Flanagan won a Edgar Award for her first novel, Deer Season. Rob Hart, Terrence McCauley, Matt Phillips, Emmy Proctor, the queen of short stories, C. Matthew Smith, Christopher Swan, Georgia Writer of the Year, and rounding out Tony Wirt. So I took those people, and like I said, I know most of them through
Yeah.
the Writer's Dossier. I've already interviewed them and have met these people in conferences, and we've been together for 3 years now. And I asked them, would you write a story? And everyone said yes.
Yeah.
And then I said to your question, how do we craft this for an audiobook? And so I explained I was approached by Leonardo Audio, founding owner Chris Shula, amazing guy. He narrated Scott Blackburn's It Dies With You, and that's how I
Yes.
got to know Scott. Amazing story with a great character that Chris just crushed. And then it was my job to come up with those 16 authors I just named, and then a theme. And the theme was really easy for me because I picked something that was really close to my heart, which is this: good people doing the wrong thing for what might seemingly be the right reason. So I told all these writers, definitely make me fall in love with
Yeah.
that antagonist, with that bad person who I can identify with and find something that I can kind of see through their eyes and walk in their shoes and understand that why they did what they did. And then the second thing I said was, make your scenes readable so
Yeah.
you can hear it, because
Yeah.
when you know this, you're a
Yeah.
published author. When you write something, you want to read it out loud. You have to
Yes.
during the editing process. You should. And think about when your story's done, remember this is going to be read by a top audiobook narrator, so keep that in mind. And so
Yeah.
as they're writing, that's just constantly flowing through their whole process and system, and it really worked.
Do you feel that you have tapped into that sweet spot in such a way that moving forward, you can carry this process on for yourself or for other authors? Because this is brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Chris Schuler from Leonardo Audio wants to do more anthologies. He's already done some. He's already got two he's thinking about, and I could definitely be involved in that because now that we have the process down, it'd be a whole lot easier a second
Yeah.
time. But yeah, anthologies are tough
Yeah.
because they're not as popular as novels. But here's the thing, and I heard someone else. I have no original thoughts, Florenza. I heard this on another. I heard this on another podcast somewhere where they're talking about the short story,
Yeah.
how it's the origin
Yeah.
of writing.
Yeah.
Edgar Allan Poe and all
Yeah.
these short stories. That's how they started, and then everyone went to full length novels over
Yeah.
time. But the short story,
Yeah.
in some manners, and
Mhm.
not to disrespect anyone, in some manners, it's more difficult to write because in a novel, you have plenty of time to
You got so
describe
much
your,
real estate.
yeah, short story, you have to get at it, and it's
Yes.
got to be so compelling. And I think I found that through this process that it's a really amazing thing because the short story is easier to read.
Yeah.
You get right at it.
Yeah.
And you don't, not everybody has 2 or 3 hours to,
Yeah.
sit down and read a book. And
Yeah.
man, just spend a few minutes reading a short story, or in this case, listen to it in the car for 20
Mhm.
minutes
Mhm.
and be entertained.
Yeah.
I mean, we can only listen to so much 80s and
Yeah.
yacht rock.
Yeah.
So let's,
I feel you. And I'm a country girl, but I feel you on that.
yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that is phenomenal. Now tell us a little bit about your podcast. You just mentioned it.
Oh,
And that's where you had an opportunity to get to personally know these phenomenal authors, but talk to us about your time on the other end of this conversation.
thank you. Thank you for asking that. And I have to tell you, it is so nice being a guest on your show because
Oh,
you
thank
have,
you.
you're welcome. You have such amazing content. You have super guests. You have a very professional setup going on. So for me, this is so easy and to just come on and talk to you. But you're right. I do have a podcast, and it was kind of born from the online
Mhm.
website, the Writer's Dossier, which is a place where I just interviewed writers about all kinds of things, and I would put it out there in a profile. And then the natural step was have a podcast. And
Yeah.
so I am just like you in love with the podcast process because it is so fun.
Yes.
It's a ton of work. And
Yes.
I edit my own podcast too, but
Ditto.
It is so cool to put the time and energy into doing something good for somebody else.
Yeah.
And it's so fun. I love it. I am so backlogged with guests and
Hmm.
places I want to go and people I want to bring on and topics I want to discuss and books I want to cover.
Yeah.
I just love it.
Yeah. Now, does the podcast itself take place in the speakeasy where you are right now? I mean, if so, have mercy on my soul.
Yeah, this is the glorious setup here, the Dossier podcast studio, writer's room, and occasional speakeasy, as I like to call it. We have four wine racks here, capacity of over 200 bottles, a whole glass situation, probably about 20 bottles of other delectable delights down here too. And this is where I record. Yes, we
Nice.
invite everyone in, and we are just not as cool as you because we don't have a toast, which we absolutely probably should
Oh,
start
my
doing
love,
now.
you need to listen. How can you be surrounded by all that lusciousness and you not have a toast? Come on now.
You're right. You're right. There's only so much I can consume in a day.
Oh, well, just take a sip and sit it down. That's our little secret. Sometimes you just got to make it look like you are, but you threw yours back. Just
I just finished.
take
Once
it
I
back, take
start,
it back.
I just can't stop once I start, Florence.
I don't blame you. I
It's
don't
so
blame you.
tasty.
I'm gonna have to look up that brand though. Listen.
It's really, yeah, it's a very small it's a boutique distillery. I
Hmm.
think it's either Indiana or Ohio. Because
Okay.
I'm in Northwest Ohio. Yeah,
I
it
am,
is. It's from
you're really close. I am in Chagrin
uh
Falls, Ohio.
yes, yes, you are.
Hmm.
Even though you're from
Hmm.
Texas, I lived in Texas for 10 years. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, by birth, I'm from Ohio. My husband was military, so like you, we traveled. We've lived all over the world. He served 31 years, active duty
Oh,
Army, retired command
yes.
sergeant major.
Woo!
So,
Love it.
yeah, yeah. So we have a
Good
lot
for
in common.
you.
Yep,
Yeah, I bet at some point you lived in Germany.
I'm 12 years.
Yeah, yeah. I lived in
Loved it.
Heidelberg for 3 or 4 years in Heidelberg.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I love that.
Awesome.
So, you've lived multiple lives, like you just said, military, law enforcement, podcaster, author, editor. Which version of Jeff Circle shows up when you write, and which one shows up when you edit?
Oh, wow. Okay. So the here's something for everyone listening. You ever realize that moment when you've just had a conversation with somebody and maybe it was escalated or maybe I don't know what happened, but then 10 minutes later you think of the best comeback ever?
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
And I was like,
Yes.
oh, I should have said that. That's how I am. I'll start with an idea, a big idea that's, not even a hook. It's
Yeah.
just this is what the book is about. And I'll start going down that road. And it's all hair flying back with the top down,
Yep.
sunglasses on, and the 80s, screaming on the stereo. And I'm not kidding, Florenza. The next day, I'll go
Yes.
back and I'll look at it and I'm like, okay, I'm following along. Like, who wrote this crap? So the other side kicks in and the bigger picture of, boy, someone's gonna have to read this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of how I approach it. I just lay it all out and I puke it on the page and then I fix it later.
Yeah. So it sounds like that more of that podcaster is putting it down and that law enforcement officer is doing the edits. There you go.
Yes,
Like,
yes, there you
ma'am,
go.
where were you at 3:05 on November the 14th, 2002?
We've got to tidy this up. Yep. You're right. That's a
I
great
love that.
comparison.
Myopic duplicity asks if the ends ever justify the means. Have you ever
Yes.
had a moment in your own life where you felt that question breathing down your neck?
Almost every day. I took a new position with my company and I'm dealing with a whole new situation, which is a little challenging for me. As an INFJ, like I referenced
Yeah,
earlier from the Myers-Briggs personality assessment, I kind of keep to myself.
yeah,
And as writers, we like to do that. And now I'm really out in the open. And so that's kind of uncomfortable for me at some point. So the biggest thing is, do the ends ever justify the means? For me, is how how to act.
Mm,
with in public versus who I really want to be.
yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, you have to maintain that professional demeanor and do the right thing, because it could go sideways.
It could go
There are two
sideways.
sides. Yeah.
Or you can be this fabulous little Gemini that just balls to the wall and whatever you get, and we'll just clean it up later.
You, you need to come help me out. I need some professional consulting. Come clean
Listen,
house.
look. So you curated a collection filled with morally tense stories with huge gray areas.
Yes.
When reading submissions, what makes you whisper, this one gets it?
Yeah, that's a really good question because I had to realize during the whole time that I was editing that some things are not for everybody.
Right.
And not everything that you see on TV or listen to on the radio or people you meet, they're not
Yeah.
gonna be your person. Just like you're not gonna like that wine or I'm not gonna like this bourbon or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to open up my aperture and be more realistic with all of the other people out there in the world who aren't like me and appreciate good writing for good writing. And just because the author took the story somewhere other
Mm-hmm.
than where I would have taken it doesn't mean it was wrong. And so it
Yeah.
was a really good lesson for me. And I went back and forth with a couple writers and I said, what about this? What about this? And so as the developmental editor in some of these stories, that was really helpful because I think there were some improvements to the story. But as the novice in the room, because some of these writers are amazing, they've been doing it for 2 decades.
Yeah.
Who am I? Who am I to say, hey, can you change that ending?
Mm-hmm.
You know? Yeah, so yeah,
Was there ever
that was tough.
was there anyone without outing them, anyone in particular,
Minnie
or
Carlson.
that was like, listen, my friend, you could ask 6 ways from Sunday, and I'm telling you, I ain't budging.
I had one, and it was the one story where I was on those tracks going down the railroad and then he went and I'm like, oh,
Oh,
no. What about I want a big payoff at the end.
yeah.
But something that I learned during this short story process was
Mhm.
one, trust someone who's been doing it for 20 years and is much further along than me. And two, short stories, they need a payoff, but there needs to be equity
Mhm.
in the ending. There has to be an ending. It can't just end without that resolution.
Mhm.
Now,
Mhm.
what I'm trying to say is some stories are written in such a way that readers think that the writer was on a deadline and they just rush the ending.
I hate that.
What I've found though is some writers end it on purpose that way because they want to leave you thinking.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is true.
So and so there's a delicate balance there to do it right so you don't
Mhm.
make everybody think you just rush the ending. But even if you leave it hanging, there's still an equitable ending
Yeah.
to the story. It just wasn't the ending that you thought. You thought they're gonna, die in a giant fireball,
Yeah.
and they end looking at the giant fireball.
Mhm.
That can
Okay.
still be satisfying
Yeah.
as a reader because you're like, oh, whoa, what happened?
Yeah. Yeah.
Figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah. Were there any authors that attempted to leave cliffhangers so that it would open doors to another story that they were going to do outside of this?
Actually, no. But what I did have was a prequel. So like an origin
Mm.
story. Eric Beetner, I'm sorry, no. Christopher Swan, Georgia Writer of the Year, amazing writer of the Faulkner family
Hmm.
series of books.
Hmm.
He has a main character in his novels, Susie or Susanna. He wrote Susie's origin story for my excuse me for the anthology, and it was a pre who she was before the books, which is
Okay.
really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyone who reads Christopher Swan, or that you definitely should pick up some of his stuff, you'll get to know this character. She's fantastic, but you can learn about her in Myopic Duplicity. It's a quick,
Oh,
short story, and you're like, oh, I like this person. I want to read more. That was really
good.
clever
I
of
love
Christopher
that.
Sherman.
I love that. Editing crime stories for so many unique voices requires balance. How do you keep from imposing your own moral fingerprint on someone else's story?
It was really tough. Rob Hart, an amazing writer. He's very successful. Wrote The Warehouse, the
Mhm.
Medusa Protocol, that whole series of Assassins Anonymous and things like that. He touched on a really tough subject of organ donation,
Oh,
and I thought, oh wow, that's some of these really make you think,
yeah,
and but they don't bring you down.
yeah,
That it's not like that. It's what would you do?
yeah.
And again, Rob Hart is another one of those writers who I'm like, dude, just please, sir, I'll
Yeah.
happily take your story, just and I won't edit a thing.
Give
So
it to me, give it to me, give it to
just
me.
thank you, thank you. And then we're backing up out of King's Court. So I I would have I one, I couldn't have written that story the way he
Yeah,
did. And two, if I had tried, if I'd have had, his brain to come up with such a great idea,
yeah.
I would have gone in a different direction.
Hmm.
And so yeah, it's just like respect respect the writer as an editor, trust them,
Yeah,
but still, regardless of who they are, ask this.
yep,
What if?
yeah.
And let them decide, because then that might just open up a little window for them to see down this road and say, oh wow, I didn't think of that. Okay, I'll come up with something that I like where that's headed, and let them do the creative energy if you just give them a prompt.
Listen, you've got a big pair, let me tell you, sir. Because with the names that you gave off, to be able to be in that space and to not challenge, but to question
Yeah.
their creation by saying, what if? That's bold, but that's what you were brought on to do. Seriously, real talk. The first time you had to go to one of these powerhouses and ask that, what if, did you say it with your chest or did you tell me how'd that go down?
And I think based on what I've learned in my background, I like to customize every approach.
Okay.
And because I know certain people who contributed to these stories, I talk to each person in a very particular way.
Okay.
I don't think there's a blanket approach. I don't do that at work. I don't do that at home with if other family members. Everybody knows this bourbon. Woo!
You
I need some.
got to say it
I
with your chest.
I need some more. Um, you've got, I think, and it served me well throughout my time in the military, throughout my time in Afghanistan and in counterintelligence, is knowing who you're talking to and how to talk to
Mm,
them.
yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
not what you say, Florenza, it's how you say it.
Oh, don't let my husband hear you say that. He always said, it's not what you say, it's your tone. I'm like,
That's my
dude, I'm a
good.
Gemini. You better tone your way on over to somebody else.
Hey, that's my sergeant major you're talking about.
Yeah, he gets in line here. I'll make him drop and give me 20.
Jimmy 20.
Now, you interview writers. We were talking about the writer's dossier.
Hmm.
Has setting in the interviewer's chair changed how you approach when you are being the guest?
Oh wow, yeah, actually it has. It really has. I've I like to think I've gotten a little better at answering questions and not stumbling over my words as much, and giving you the lead and taking the direction from you, or whoever is interviewing me. I love coming on, and here's the reason why. It's so easy for me. Because I know you've got 2 hours of editing ahead of you at least, like I do. I want to put in graphics and drop in some music, and I'll do my endings, beginnings, and I've got a great program for that. But I want to do it right, and so I know
Yeah.
it takes time, and so I'm so appreciative. when someone has me on because I know what it means. I'm like, I'm giving you 2 hours, 3 hours of work to do here. Then you got to upload and download
Yeah, yeah.
and
No, we're not so fancy with all the music and stuff, but listen, we'll get there. I'm too busy
oh,
telling that sergeant major what to do.
yes, you are. You got to keep him in line.
Now, if you could invite one historical figure, real or fictional, to co-edit your next anthology, who would it be and why?
Oh, wow. All of these kinds of questions, like people from history, they're always so good because there's so many
Yeah.
great choices out there. And it reminds me of what I said a minute ago of you always have a great answer 10 minutes later. I mean, it'd be easy to come up with, oh, Michael Crichton, oh
Ooh.
yeah. I um one of my favorite writers is a guy named Vince Flynn. He was a thriller writer who passed away a number of years ago. And he really took military thrillers and espionage thrillers to the whole next level. I
Uh-huh.
came up with Tom Clancy, and I've talked to some people who have worked with Tom Clancy, and I'm sure he was a great guy. I would love to have worked with Vince Flynn and gotten in his head and worked with some stories. But based on my background of being in the military and being a military contractor for a dozen years, and his approach, not having been in the military, I think that would have been a good combination for me.
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
probably drug him down a little bit. That'd have been fun. Vince Flynn.
Nice. Tell us, what are you working on next?
Oh, thanks for asking. I have a couple things. I have my own story. I've written a couple stories, full-length novels. They're military thrillers. They're kind of military thriller. They're not door kicker. I'm
Uh-huh.
downrange
Yeah, yeah,
killing
yeah.
Taliban, but they're more ex-military. Now doing something else. It's called Silo, Special Intelligence, Logistics, and Operations. It's this old legacy John F. Kennedy era
Okay.
CIA that he built himself because he didn't like the real CIA. And in my story, that agency, that organization, is still operating in
Ooh.
secret. The other thing I'm
Now,
doing, yes,
real quick on that, what would happen if you're thinking something is dead and gone? You have actually stumbled onto something that gets your behind in the hot seat.
I'm reminded of Tom Clancy when he wrote The Hunt for Red October back in the
Yes.
80s. He was an insurance guy. He was a salesman, and he wrote a lot of detailed information about classified submarine warfare and
Yes.
technical specifications. Someone from the Pentagon actually contacted him and said, "Where are you getting your classified information at?"
Yep.
So I have thought of that, and I like to think that the NSA and the CIA just kind of let that kind of thing go. And if they address it, then it's an issue. Publicly, it's like, oh, wait, if we say something, they'll know we're upset about it. So I think they just kind of let things go and not address it. But I'd love it if there's a knock on my door and say, hey, that thing you wrote, and we need you to change that. I mean, that surveillance platform is actually something we're doing because truth is stranger than fiction.
Yeah.
And it's really out there. I think you can come up with anything. Every word has already been written
Yeah.
and every story has already been told. We're just combining all the words in a different order right now.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
you can think of it, it's probably already been done because everyone's watching Star Trek and Star Wars and The Matrix already anyways.
Yep. Yep. And the other thing that you're working on.
Mm. About a year or so ago, I was at a big dinner at Thriller Fest
Mhm.
at the Super Steakhouse with a publicist and some other writers, and I threw out an idea for a story that I had. Let me ask you this, Lorenzo. Have you ever sat around wondering what it would be like if you actually one day somehow won the lottery? And you just kind of sitting there, you daydream like, oh man,
Yeah.
I'd buy this, or I'd move here, or I'd give money to these people. I'd
Hmm.
have a dog shelter in every city, whatever. That's just kind of fun to just play with those thoughts. Well,
Hmm.
in this story, I threw it out, and someone across the table said, I really like that idea. And he happened to be a New York Times bestselling author. And so I said, well, why don't you write it with me? And I was just kind of being flippant because that's how I am.
Yeah.
And he said, no, it actually, I like the story. And I said, well, what do you like about it? And we talked, and I'm writing this book now with Jerome Preisler. And it has to do with all kinds of crazy things. There's a little bit of human trafficking involved. There's a little bit of organ transplants involved, and there's someone who wins the lottery. And it's the working title was Billionaire Camp, but that's not going to be the final title. But it was, where do people go
Yeah.
if you recently just won $1 billion in the latest Powerball, and how do you save yourself from not losing it? You go to a place called Billionaire Camp where they teach you how to do this. But if Billionaire Camp is run by bad people doing bad things
I
are
like
going to
how
happen.
you think. I like it. Now,
Thank you.
question, and this is so off the cuff, which most of them are.
Yeah.
Did hearing someone with the chops equal to your idea say, you know what, I'm in, make you wonder at what point you should have asked the damn idea that came to your head the last time bourbon and writers were involved?
It was the right place, the right time, and he had been watching this documentary on YouTube called Soft White Underbelly, and it was a professional interview series of people who interviewed women who had gone through a really tough time and through lots of different reasons,
Yeah.
nothing specific. And they just interviewed, and the whole interview, and they're like 40 minutes in length, was just a camera on the person. They're sitting on a stool, and they tell their story, and you just hear the person asking questions in the background off camera, and they're amazing, heartbreaking, and uplifting stories all at the same time.
Yeah.
And he just kind of got caught up in this subculture that exists out there of people doing crazy things and just going down a certain road. And then
Yeah.
in many cases, coming out of it now to the point where they can sit down and talk about what they did and what they learned and how they hope that maybe getting their story out there will help other people. We use those not specific examples, but we use the spirit of that, wow, this is really happening
Yeah.
across America.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
that's has a lot to do. There's one of the main characters in our story came from Jerome, and his idea from that whole story.
Wow. I love
Yeah.
that. Where are the listeners able to engage with you and learn all things Jeff?
Well, they can come to Northwest Ohio and I'll meet everybody in person. But
Yes.
since that's not practical and no one ever comes to Northwest Ohio on vacation, I'm going to point everyone to the writersdossier.com. That's where you can find all the dossiers that we've done, all the interviews, all the great people, and all their great stories and ideas of how they've written their books and their idea. We have publicists on there, editors, agents, audiobook narrators, and of course, writers. Almost 200 interviews are on the writersdossier.com to be able to read and just get to know some of these people. And then if you want to know a little bit more about me at jeffcircle.com, it all goes to the same site, but
Yeah.
different pages. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And don't be surprised if you hear like a little tap, tap, tap and a ruff, ruff, ruff on the door. I'm too close not
Yeah.
to come to that speakeasy, let me tell you.
You're welcome. You're welcome to it. We wanted to get together a group of Ohio writers, and we had Aaron Flanagan and Angela. Angela lives out in Cleveland. She's a writer, and Kate. There's someone who lives here in Toledo. So we're gonna have a writers retreat here at the house because
Yeah.
we have lots of space. That would be really cool. But I would rather suggest to meet you in Cleveland because I found a fantastic brisket and barbecue place in Cleveland.
Well, come on, and I too have plenty of space. We've got 7 bedrooms here and would love to
Woo!
put you up and just come on over and we will bring a bottle or two. We'll have a party.
Do I have to stand at the position of parade rest or sergeant major?
Not at all. At all. Listen.
You don't do that either.
Well, it depends on the circumstances, Jeff. Mama
All
has
right.
been known to take the position once or twice.
That's right.
That's a whole different interview.
Florenza after dark.
Dark. Listen. So I have a quick segment that I call One for the Road. You've already downed yours, so I'm going to take a sip.
Oh, I have more.
Mm.
One for the road.
One for the road. Okay, got some rapid fire-ish questions.
I'm not good at this. Okay.
Oh, you'll be fine. Okay, we'll start with a this or that. Confession booth or polygraph test, which would you fear more?
A confession booth. Polygraph I get because I used to do polygraph.
And yeah, and I've had some people tell me how to bypass those, but the confession booth, I don't know. You got God involved.
There you go.
Oh, no.
Real honesty.
Yes. Okay, true or false? Every good crime writer has at least one secret they'll never confess publicly. Oh, so true.
Oh, absolutely true.
Oh,
Are
yeah.
you asking
What do you mean, just
mine is?
one?
Is just that right? What?
Oh, well, how much have you been drinking that you're willing to tell publicly? Go ahead, sir. I'm not recording.
That's why I tell people, hey, no one's listening to the Dossier podcast, so just go ahead and spill the beans.
Spill it. Would you rather? Would you rather spend 1 hour locked in a room with your favorite fictional villain or 5 minutes with your harshest critic?
Oh, wow. The villain.
Oh, who would your villain be?
The Joker?
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
And the
Yes.
Heath Ledger Joker.
Of course. Is there any other? Come on now. The others were just they were like practicing.
Like what, Caesar Romero from the Batman?
For real, for real. Okay. And the last one.
Oh,
The line, fill in the blank. The line between justice and vengeance is blank.
consequence. Are you speechless?
I was looking for a mic to drop. I paid too much money for that one. And this one, I keep replacing. The other one over there, drop the mic.
All right.
That was
You're welcome.
good.
Thank
That
you.
was a good place to end. Wow. Ooh.
Well, this is a great place to be. Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited. Like I said, you and I both belong to the Authors on the Air Radio Network, and I see your content almost every day. And
Thank
folks out
you.
there, go back into the catalog, go in the Wayback Time Machine, and listen to Florenza because she's got it going on.
And yours as well. I'm all about that thriller life. Yes.
It's fun. It's fun.
It's fun. Don't listen. I mean it. I'm gonna come a knocking before winter comes a knocking.
And this wraps up another episode of On the Air with Florenza. You may follow me on all social media platforms under Florenza Lee or via my website at florenza.org. Until next time, cheers.